Greetings, friends. It's me, Duncan, and this is the Duncan Trussell Family Hour podcast. And today, whoa, what a great episode we have for you today. I wanted to do a spiritual string of episodes, or at least people who I feel like have something to say that might help some of us or all of us cool down a little bit. Times are a little weird. People feel a bit uneasy or absolutely terrified. And today's guest, oh my God, he really laid it down. And I know maybe some of you feel a little cynical right now and don't want to hear some kind of hippie spiritual stuff, but that means you definitely should listen to this episode. Raghu runs the Love Serve Remember Foundation. He was dear friends with Ram Dass. He had the good karma and good fortune to spend time with the great Guru Neem Karoli Baba, an awakened being, the same awakened being that inspired Ram Dass to write Be Here Now. And we had a very frank and I think very powerful conversation about how do we find that place of love inside of us that for many of us seems to be covered up by a thick, bubbling sludge of Lovecraftian hate. So, everybody, welcome back to the DTFH, Raghu Markus.
He had a beautiful hairpiece, and he went there, and
your father went to see Maharaji and brought his hairpiece to India.
He brought it along with him. He wore it.
Wow!
And can you imagine?
Pain in the ass in India.
Anyhow, by the end of that, whatever, he spent a few weeks there the first time. By the end of it, poop. It was gone. And Maharaji never said a word to him about
That's
it.
polite.
Nothing. It was gone.
That's polite. You know, if someone wants to wear a hairpiece, why shame them? They're shaming themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You know, for those of you just joining
Poor
us,
guy.
Raghu, prior to me pressing record, said, "What happened to you? Is that a hairpiece?"
Yeah, really.
Well,
hey, I want to talk.
Let's talk about
Do you have an agenda?
Hairpiece. As in P-A-C-E. That could be the name of this podcast.
Hairpiece.
Hairpiece. Yeah. And I don't think I really did. You know, though I did interrupt the series I was trying to do after Charlie.
What were you doing, by the way? Can you tell me?
What?
What series? What were you doing?
Well, after Charlie Kirk got assassinated and everybody became, it was already a powder keg. And then at least online, it became
everywhere, all conversations.
Everything.
I'm sure.
And so I thought, all right, damn it, I'm going to listen to my hippie friends like you who are like, why don't you use your platform responsibly? I'm going to have people on who have the potential to cool things off a little bit, or at least offer some perspective that isn't grounded in the maelstrom of politics that all of us find ourselves engrossed
So what
in.
happened, though? What happened to, you just said you stopped it or something.
Well, only because my own bad scheduling. Because I fucked up. You were supposed to be last week, and I fucked up. I wasn't able to do it. And whatever I rambled about in the last solo episode, I'm sure it wasn't worth anything. So I messed it up. But yeah, I just wanted to start having my spiritual friends on to get your perspective on this current, incredibly apocalyptic, fiery, confused, angry place that not just America, but I think the planet finds itself in.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But you've been through it. You've been flopping around this ball of dirt a little bit longer than I have. So you experienced Vietnam. You experienced Kent State. You experienced so many moments of political upheaval in this country that this must not seem brand new to you. I mean, it's certainly anyone but
I would advise you. This is terrible, but there's nothing I can do. I did a podcast with Danny Goldberg. You know who Danny is?
Yeah.
Danny
but they might not.
So Danny Goldberg ran a number of labels from Warner Brothers to Polygram when there was a Polygram and so on. And I did, we had a label back then, a small indie label that he took on as part of his the conglomerate of labels. And we had known each other from a long time back, actually through a spiritual teacher, Hilda Charlton. That's a whole other. I don't even know if I ever talked to you about it, Duncan.
I don't think you did.
Hilda. No, that's a whole other thing, interesting thing. But some other time. Anyhow, he became very involved from the get-go in politics. And he's a lefty. And he would host fundraisers at his beautiful place in Greenwich Village. And so he was really there. But why this triggered me is because, say, hey, getting a maybe a little bit more of a historical perspective, because whenever I would say that this is the worst of times, and, well, not quite. Let's go back, and he would go back in history and talk about other occasions where, some really, really tough stuff was going on.
Right.
So I did a podcast with him last week. I think it's out right now. Anyhow, it's the last couple of them. It is so measured about what is going on now. It's the best thing I've heard about that. So go to Mind Rolling on the Be Here Now network, and you can get
a great podcast, by the way. Truly.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
So,
but
okay,
you know what?
What?
Let me, because you did say something and talked about when I came up, 60s, 70s as a kid. And it led me to say, to read something. I actually had this in my head that I wanted to bring this up. I thought it would be a good conversation starter, Duncan. And this is from, and I'm so sorry, everybody, to do a little commercial in the middle of Duncan Trussell Family Hour. But
I do commercials in the middle of my podcast all the time. Go ahead.
They're for you. Anyhow, we have a new book coming out. Me as the director of the Love Serve Remember Foundation, from Ram Dass. First posthumous book since he left 6 years ago, called There Is No Other, and how to move towards wholeness instead of staying in the divide that vast divide that we are in right now. So it's a perfect book for the times, and we called the best talks of Ram Dass around this particular subject. And then we invited Annie Lamott, had something great to say,
cool.
and all of the friends that you know quite well, Joseph Goldstein, Jack Cornfield.
Can't help but notice I didn't
Sharon,
get
the book is on the way to you.
Didn't get an invite to write something for the book. I feel like I have something to offer.
Oh, you didn't get that, yeah. Well,
huh.
Talk to Ram Dass about that. So this is an excerpt from the book, okay? And it speaks to exactly what you just mentioned about me. When we got free in the 60s, then suddenly it was the empowering of the individual heart, the intuitive heart that said, hey, there's work to do in civil rights. There's work to do in sexual freedom. There's work to do with women's issues and gay and lesbian issues. There's work to do with foreign policy and the anti-Vietnam movement. There was a link between the intuitive heart of individuals and the feeling of rightness or appropriateness between that and these dissonant institutions that were out of line. The problem was that those of us who had experienced that quality of love had such a sense of the power of love that we underestimated the power of fear. Tim Leary and I had a chart on our wall in Millbrook, a geometrically rising curve showing how fast everyone would get enlightened.
Wow.
It did involve putting LSD in the water supply, but other than that, it was not terribly dramatic. It seemed so inevitable and irrevocable because the experience was so powerful and so irreversible once it had happened that we started to surround ourselves with other people who had experienced it. Kennedy was in office and lots happening in Haight-Ashbury and the rock and roll movement. Minstrels like Dylan were carrying these messages of the relative nature of reality that undercut the power of any one point of reality. The carriers of Native American wisdom were our elders, instead of objects of sadism. What happened to us in the 60s was so strong that we assumed everybody would fall before it. But they didn't. There were the people who didn't have that experience. Their experience was that the whole social structure in which they had power was under attack. They got frightened and they pushed against it. In that sense, the 60s polarized the culture because it was naive. It only understood its own perception and assumed its perception would spread by osmosis. I now see that the naivete with which we embraced our idealism fed the fundamentalist and right-wing movement in the United States.
Wow.
That's so prescient.
Wow. Well, how beautiful that he admits it. That's
Yeah.
so powerful I think that is a fair analysis and a brilliant analysis.
Yeah.
And I've heard of I know that his view of things as a whole instead of this or that or othering people. I can't remember which lecture, but I remember him talking about how one side tends to hold up the other side, even if they seem opposed.
Yeah.
One side is, for example, let's look at what's happening in Portland, Chicago. We've got Trump is sending the National Guard, the military into the cities. This has always been the nightmare of any garden variety conspiracy theorist. This has been what people like Alex Jones have been saying was going to happen. Totalitarianism will come. The military will be in the streets. But because it's coming from the right and not from the left, it does seem like some of those people are being a little quiet about it, even though it's the exact thing that they prognosticated. And so we have this is happening. We've all dreaded it. You know me. I remember when we first met, I'm like, when do we start throwing Molotov cocktails, Raghu? We gotta stop this now. It's coming. And suddenly, here it is. The military in the streets of our country, the president saying it's a war within, meaning that the military that we've been, God knows how much every single individual in America has been paying for this military force via taxes, is now coming into the streets of our cities. And the military does it. I think the military wants to do it even like less than anyone. I don't think they want to be there. They don't want to they didn't sign up to like potentially use lethal force on the country that they wanted to defend. It's madness. So to get back to the original point, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it seems like Ram Dass would look at both sides of this and see how the one side is what's going to happen inevitably is people are going to come out in the streets to protest the military being there. And then all it takes is one person off their fucking meds or whatever to come there with a gun, fire on the military. The military fires back. That's the match in the powder keg right there. And so you see how both sides are doing this terrible dance. And no one wants to be doing the dance. That's the saddest part. I'm pretty sure that the people Trump is freaked out about on the streets, I'm pretty sure they'd rather be at bars. Looking at them, I'm pretty sure they'd rather be having fun at a bar. I don't think they want to be fucking in like black masks getting pepper sprayed. And I'm damn sure the ICE people don't want to be there either. I don't think anybody wants to be there. That's the really ironic thing. Of course, there's a few people, there's sociopaths everywhere. So no doubt there's some state operatives who are getting off on the power, and no doubt there's some messianic activists who are getting off on the drama. But the good-hearted, most of the people, when I'm looking at it, it's just other than getting high off the drama, it doesn't look fun, but both sides have to be there. One side has to be there for their own reasons. The other side has to be there for, and then you get this mess. It's like a hurricane. It's like watching a hurricane form. I don't think hurricanes want to be there. I think they just rather be like nice, mild waves and wind. So, but is that a fair analysis of what he might say? Fabric by Gerber Life is term life insurance you can get done today. Made for busy parents like you, all online, all on your schedule, right from your couch. You could be covered in under 10 minutes with no health exam required. And that's incredible, friends. That's incredible. Somehow I did manage to get life insurance, but let me tell you, they examined this old crusty son of a bitch. Blood tests, checks. I felt like I'd been abducted by aliens. The amount of blood they sucked out of my body, scrutinizing every one of my cells. Somehow I got the insurance, but it wasn't fun. And honestly, it does feel good to know if I'm out there on the road and keel over, if I wake up in the middle of the night, geyser blood out of my mouth because of some unknown ailment, if I suddenly find myself walking into the light, my last moments before my next incarnation don't have to be worrying about what my darling wife is going to do to take care of my darling children. Also, you do feel a little paranoid. I watch Dateline. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their family. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/Duncan. That's meetfabric.com/Duncan. MEET, fabric.com/Duncan. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company. Not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions.
I think that's a little too black and white, rational about how he might. What he is doing in this book is getting at what is and through that part of the book that I read, that excerpt, admitting that we contributed, meaning because it was we back then, and we contributed to making so that's the us. We contributed to making the them. And that in this book, what he's trying to get at, what's the source of that reality of othering people?
Yeah.
What is the source of that? How do we break through that?
Okay, let me take a side so you can talk to a side. It's not how I believe. Someone will clip this and make it seem like this is what I think. Nothing I can do about that. But I am now going to take the side of a violent protester. Someone who's willing to use violence. So I'm going to take their side now, okay? And then I would love it if you could channel Ramdas or just yourself. How would you respond to this, okay? I think I can voice what they have to say. Forgive me for those of you out there on the streets if I parrot you in a way that is obtuse. Listen, no offense. I appreciate the hippie stuff. I do. And believe it or not, even though right now, imagine I'm in I'm wearing a black face mask and a weird backpack, and I've got shit to get the pepper spray out of my eyes, and I'm packing heat somewhere in there too. I get it. But here's the problem. Children are being dragged into vans by masked men who don't even have to show ID. And we don't know where they're going. The men who are doing this don't seem to have any repercussion for what they're doing. the people who are being thrown into these vans, we aren't really quite sure where they're going. They're not getting legal representation. They're not being protected in any way, shape, or form. And the places that we do know they're taking them are horrific. Limited access to water, to food. Some of them are being deported to places that they didn't even come from and thrown into horrific prisons there. I'm afraid that meditation is not going to do shit about that. And that the only thing that is going to work right now is countering their violence with our violence. And if I thought otherwise, I wouldn't be here. But as far as I can tell, this is all we've got left. Nobody wanted to get to this place. But if I sit by and meditate in my fucking apartment and burn incense and chant Ram Ram while little children are getting ripped away from their fucking parents, then who the fuck am I? And how can I sleep at night? I'm speaking from their perspective, and then I'd love to know what you think.
I hear you. Listen, I mean, this is an anecdote to what you're saying, but I introduced the fact that this book is going to become available here in October 2025.
I'm going to pirate it. I'm still the Antifa guy. I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to pirate it. That's what I do. I'm a hacker too.
Anyhow, I was with a group of friends, people who had been practicing, quote unquote, meditation and had a perspective, a spiritual perspective about who we are and where we are going, purpose in our lives. Wonderful people. So I said, yeah, isn't this great? We're going to do this, help, just cut down on the polarization and stuff. And they went, one particular person, a woman, actually said, that's terrific. That's great that this book is coming out. Meanwhile, can we hang so-and-so?
Holy shit. That's the mood.
Yeah, I went, holy shit. Are you, what? And that's really what you're saying. It's a knee-jerk thing, And I listen, meditation isn't going to do anything. I mean, you use that in obviously in
I'm being a little hyperbolic as this character,
yeah, right.
but I've read enough Reddit comments that I do feel like I can embody the sentiment here, and it is the sentiment that your friend apparently has. The sentiment is, why are they allowed to use these violent techniques and that's okay? Why are they allowed to use force? And if they are allowed to use force and we neuter ourselves by not using counter force, then how in the world is that going to stop anything? Again, everybody, I'm just voicing what I think is a meme out there in the hopes that we can get this, we can come up with an actual pragmatic response from someone who's been steeped in this world and has been with an enlightened being. Yeah.
Listen, honestly, I don't think we have a chance in hell unless somebody comes that is at the very least, somewhat of a replicate of Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Someone who has that kind of courage, who is not going to just say, we're getting shot, so we're going to shoot back.
Right.
Someone is saying something that cuts through that kind of thinking. That thinking that we are all separate. I'm a separate entity.
Right.
And hey, where did we get off there? Where did we get off the train there? I mean, since when? Even in any rational way, through economic stuff, through world trade, through all of it, we are interconnected. And not to mention, of course, the digital age. We are so interconnected. How can you possibly say something like that? Well, I think
I think that the problem is like, I've told this story before, but you're just reminding me of the first time I met Ram Dass, and the first thing I asked him is like, are you my guru? Everybody wants a guru. Not everybody gets to meet Neem Karoli Baba. And his response was, with a big smile, yeah, now what? And it was really funny because he popped the balloon. He wasn't really saying, I'm your guru, so much as saying, like, come on.
Well, he never would say anything about
Right,
that. He
but-
was never intimating he was anything but
No.
a teacher.
And I took that. I didn't take that to mean he's my guru. I took that as pointing to something in me that wanted somebody else to do the work for me. And in this case, I would say to my Antifa character, okay, but now what? Now you commit violence. Now you use the force that the oppressors are using. Now you've killed, who knows? You shoot one of these people, they're a dad. Now you have justified their violence with your violence. Now you have shown the world what you consider to be the right way to push back. And now what? What do we do now? Because the next step is, balkanization, civil war. And do you see somewhere at the other end of this justice? Do you actually see somewhere at the other end of this the end of these atrocities because of your and your comrades' violence? Can you honestly say that it would be effective, that it would work? And if you can't say with 100% certainty this is the way, you really want to roll the dice so that after a few years of horrific violence, you look back, nothing's changed other than more of your friends are dead and more people, whoever on the other side that are dead. And now what? Nothing's changed. Things have just become more authoritarian and people are more scared. That would be my response. That's not exactly a Martin Luther King response, but I just don't see, I don't think that violence in this case or in most cases leads to anything other than further violence, further atrocity. I don't think that it's, and also if it worked, Raghu.
What?
If it worked, if violent resistance worked,
yeah.
we would be living in a utopia right now. Because all of human
look at
history.
history. Just look at it.
So it's
look
not
at
effective.
History. This is not new. This is not new. And hopefully in our potentially more enlightened state, we can go back and look inside ourselves and see that hate and anger begets exactly the opposite. Exactly the opposite.
Right. Oh, but it feels good.
And,
it felt good being that character. It feels good.
Yeah, no, I know. It feels good to get angry. I know I have anger problems.
Me too.
I think we both share a little bit of that. And you can feel the righteousness that comes in there and the power. And it feels like, oh, wow, I got control now. I'm going to blow this person away, whatever it is. This is what we're missing. When I say Martin Luther King, I'm talking about when that man spoke, you could feel the love in his being.
Right.
There was love. You could feel it. He wasn't a big guru or anything like that. He wasn't espousing hippie beliefs, spirituality that's based in bypassing.
He's a Christian.
He's a Christian. He was a true Christian, absolutely. And, I'm hoping, this is my own, thinking about all this and seeing what's going on and feeling, the horror of it, that we will support people who have some love in their heart. The pushback has to be there, I'm sure.
Well, this is the problem, right? Because what's happening is an attempt to push back, you've got Gavin Newsom imitating Trump's tweets. The idea is, let's fight fire with fire. We're going to use the exact same energy that we hate to push back against that same energy. Whereas Martin Luther King, as you're brilliantly pointing out, his energy seemed to be being piped in from a transcendent reality. Yeah. And you can't fake that. And so when somebody is standing in front of God knows how many people saying, I have a dream, and inside their heart is not hate, but is also not someone who hasn't seen people getting murdered, lynched, direct encounters with how
tremendous suffering.
So it's that love is grounded in reality, and even in the midst of that horrific reality, that I guess if you want to look at like the antithesis to some degree of Martin Luther King, you go Malcolm X, and he was fiery. Malcolm X was not saying nonviolence, and you look at him. And you think about what he has experienced his entire life, and you're like, I get it, man. I get it. But when you see someone like Martin Luther King theoretically experiencing similar things,
not theoretically,
I don't know.
Sure.
I'm only saying that because sadly, someone will be like, you have no idea about the difference between those two. They had different encounters in 1976.
Well, we don't.
So
we
forgive
can just
me.
say that.
But Gandhi, for example, another example of like nonviolent resistance, the Salt March, overthrew the British Empire, not with the Revolutionary War like the United States did, but just pure nonviolent resistance. And something happens in that moment when you're seeing people who are being peaceful, protesting peacefully, getting fire hosed in the street. It illuminates the oppressive system. And sometimes that illumination is enough to create real social change because nobody wants to support that system. That seems to be where it becomes effective, is when you let them crucify you instead of fight back. I'm sorry I'm talking too much.
It is your podcast.
I know, but theoretically, you're my guest, so I'm going to shut the fuck up. And everyone out there, I apologize. That was too much.
Let me read a little something else. Anne Lamott. You know Anne, right? And,
yes.
We've had her with us in many different instances at retreats and so on. She wrote a foreword to the book. There is no other. I just want to read a little bit of it because it's directly addressing.
Okay.
She gets it. She's a Christian too, and she gets at the human part of us. So that's something we got to bring into this conversation, the human part.
Right.
She says it's human nature to take sides and to think that you're right and that you speak for God. My great Jesuit friend Tom Weston said, you can tell you've created God in your own image when he or she hates all the same people you do. So that's always a very good hint that you're a little off track. We're taught black and white, and what has gotten a lot of us into trouble is this black and white thinking, this win and lose consciousness. Right. Much of social life isn't split into black and white. Real life has got subtleties and layers and complexities and nuance. There are two ways nowadays of looking at a stranger. When you're distrustful of somebody, you think they're going to take your food or your car or your right to vote or whatever, so you have the right to punish them and exclude them. Your instinct tells you that you have to for your own survival, or they've come here to trade with you and you have the right to be involved. It's a transaction, so you have to make sure that they don't cheat you and that they accept returns. We don't entirely trust anyone outside of our households and our sacred communities. We have fences and private properties and envy and a general sense that the people who live next door, and definitely the people who vote differently than we do, are not of our tribe.
Right.
So we're still worried they're going to steal from us. They're going to bargain unfairly with us, and we're going to come out on the losing end. So she's just speaking to the human part of us.
Yeah.
And I say to you, when we're talking about, here we are, and you played the role of somebody who's seen the atrocity and wants to come back in exactly that manner, right? I think that as many of us that can have some consciousness that this is not a black and white situation. And I love what the ICE people who are part of that.
Yeah.
You think that they want to be there? You said, no, they don't want to be there.
No, I don't think so.
And you don't think they want to be happy? Which His Holiness says that's the one thing every being in this planet has a desire to be happy.
Yeah.
So when we start to think about those things, and then we think of our own polarization inside, which this book speaks to, and Ramdas spoke to that better than anybody. Once we have that, and it's like one heart, it's the only way is for hearts to open. Does that mean you don't go in Chicago, to resist what's going on there? No, it doesn't. But it depends. A lot of the success of whatever you're trying to do is dependent on not having hate in your heart.
Right.
That's the tough thing.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And that is the toughest. That is the toughest thing, because this episode of the DTFH has been supported by Blue Chew. Guys, sometimes you need more than love. You need a throbbing erection like what you used to have in high school. And Blue Chew has helped me achieve that goal. Yeah, sure, I'm not a fountain of pure, unconditional love, radiating glory, kindness, compassion, and sweetness to everyone on the whole planet. But do you know what I am? I'm somebody who's got Blue Chew in one of his drawers. I can chomp those babies up, and Lazarus is raised from the dead. That's a miracle too. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. As always, get your first month of Blue Chew free. Just use promo code Duncan at checkout and pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity, one thrust at a time. Head to BlueChew.com for details and safety info. And big thanks to Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
Because you got to work on yourself to. How do you
Listen, though, let me just say
remove
this.
that?
Here's the thing. Instead of hate shaming people, you and I, we get angry. And so I feel like if I know, I can talk a lot more about hate experientially than I can talk about compassion. And
don't say that about that.
No, I don't mean, I'm saying this is what ends up happening accidentally, because you're not doing this and I'm not intending to do it. But thank God you and me are never going to know what it's like to remove rubble from on top of our dead children, right? Like the Palestinians, right? And we're never going to know that.
Or walking into the people being shot up out of nowhere.
Yeah, never going to know that.
Is never ending.
To have your child in a tunnel.
Yeah.
Never going to know that. Never going to know that. I hope. And so to sort of like, and so for me, I've got hate in my heart, but the hate in my heart is because I broke my fucking phone, Raghu. It's going to take me like 10 days to get a new phone. You know what hell I'm living in right now? You know what I mean? Like the kind of, my day-to-day suffering compared to someone who is going to be traumatized for the rest of their lives, and think about what happened to them every night before they go to bed, and right when they wake up, maybe they'll have a moment where they don't remember, and then they'll remember. So I want to acknowledge that first, meaning, yes, that's one thing I think Ramdas would say to somebody who is filled with that righteous hate and anger. Yes, you are not wrong. Your feelings are, yes, they should. You're not malfunctioning right now. You've gotten a taste of what we're up against here. And you've gotten a real taste. And you know what else would make me angry if I'd gotten that taste? Some motherfucker telling me not to be angry. That would make me even more angry. It's like, yeah, cool, yeah, okay, I'll just cool down. You want me to just calm down a little bit? Okay, I'll cool off. Yeah, so things are a little easier for you, I'll calm down. So I'm just saying, I'm trying to fully acknowledge it. And my feeling is that when moments like this arise, when the moment that Martin Luther King responded to arose, not only did he make great change, but he showed something to everyone. There's another way to do this. There's another way to do this. And in moments like this, there is an opportunity that appears. Because I think what's amazing about humans is, like, out of the blue, we'll figure shit out that they thought you could never figure out. We're about to have fusion reactors. We're about to have, like, infinite free energy. We're going to cure cancer. We're going to grow hair back. We're going to do all kinds of incredible things. It's already happening. For the first time in medical history, a child, stage 3 brain cancer, they cured it. Never done it before. So
wait, I never heard.
I'll send you the article. It's amazing. It's a kind of aggressive brain cancer. They used some kind of new therapy, cured this kid. So what I'm saying is, what's one thing when I'm feeling the hate or really down is I remember there is a historic precedent for moments of novelty. Things that have never happened before happen. And generally, they happen in response to horrible things. Martin Luther King being a case study. And so when you have these events happening, there is a moment where you're in the most depressing laboratory of all time. Nobody wants to be in this laboratory. No one's ever wanted to be in that laboratory. I'm sure Martin Luther King didn't want to be in that fucking laboratory. But here we are. We're in a laboratory where there is hate and violence and scary shit going on. And that means there's a chance for somebody to not just do what Martin Luther King did, but to do it 50 billion times better, because he didn't have TikTok. He didn't have the internet. Imagine if Martin Luther King had the internet. Imagine if, like, he had a podcast. Imagine, you know what I mean? Imagine if he could instantaneously connect with the whole planet. Woo! And I think that's what this moment is, Raghu. That's why these moments are actually, could potentially be incredible moments. Where,
so you're saying these moments will produce what potentially might be a game changer in terms of the way we all feel about each other as separate individuals and don't give a shit about it.
Absolutely. And not in a bullshit way, in a real way. It can happen. Because anything can happen. I mean, will it happen? I'd say the odds are very slim. It'll probably just lead to more violence, suppression, mass surveillance, digital ID, complete authoritarian government, a crackdown across the entire planet, mass arrests, and eventually some kind of horrific technological police state that it will be impossible to escape from, our organs being harvested to keep the dictators alive. But
thank you for this wonderful prognosis. Jesus God.
But there's also, in these moments, a chance. There is a chance. I remember when I was pushing, the last time I saw him, I was pushing Ram Dass uphill in his wheelchair. He said, "Thank you for joining me in this revolution of love." Ugh.
That was the last time you saw him?
Yeah.
I didn't know. You never told me that.
Yeah. It was the last retreat I saw him at. And to me, when he said that, that was not spiritual bullshit. He saw what he was doing as revolutionary. He recognized it as revolutionary, and he understood that this is a revolution that is fueled by something that he taught, love, and that it's not some hippy dippy bullshit. He never struck me as hippy dippy. He had an edge to him that I loved so much. And to me, that is the place we're at right now. There has to be a methodology other than the methodology most of us, including myself, have been using.
Yeah. Love. Just say the word. And for many people, many, many, many people, this word is slightly cringeworthy.
Yes.
We did a thing with, I remember this many years ago with Sharon Salzberg, and it was around Ram Dass's new concept that he brought up while he was in Maui, loving awareness.
Yeah.
And she said, love, it's kind of tough. People think you're weak.
Yeah.
When you mention that word, and just her saying that was like, right. This is our unfortunate link to something that is more powerful than anything on this planet. In fact, people who know a lot more than me or you or anybody say that is the interconnecting fabric of the universe is that. But it's a bit of a dirty word, maybe going too far, because we love our mates, we love our families, we love, it extends out as far as it can extend out, but
it stops.
It
stops.
stops. Yeah. It stops, and that's the whole point. So what love is not the kind of if you do this, I'll love you. If you don't do that,
it's not transactional.
Forget about it. It's transactional, exactly. It's beyond that. And how do we find that place, which I know beyond knowing exists in every one of us? And I was really fortunate to be with a being who that's all that was going on. There wasn't a matter of, the next 5 minutes we'll have a meditation and on love, and it had nothing to do with that. In fact, he never told us to meditate.
Right.
So how do we get back to what that really means, and how do we share that? And most especially with people who maybe don't agree with us. And by the way, you did the apocalyptic kind of dance on what's happening and where we're going with this.
Yeah, there's a doomer in me. There's a doomer in me.
Yeah, right. But the truth is, maybe this is going to go a lot further, and in a very sad way. This can go much further than where it is right now. And maybe that darkness, that darkness has to produce. The only way light happens is through darkness, right? So maybe that has to happen further before there to be any kind of change, and before enough people acknowledge, hey, I'm not different than you.
I was listening to, I love that. And it made me think of the book of Job. And I was listening to, I had this great professor when I was in school. And, liberal arts school, so definitely like Christianity, not the top of the charts at a liberal arts school. But this professor, I remember him saying, I'll turn on AM Christian radio and listen to it, and I'll take something from it because I know how to not throw the baby out with the bathwater. I can pick out from it something good, and that's what he tried to teach, is like, don't just turn off entire streams of data because parts of it offend you. You can, there's gold in them there hills. There's something there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do that. Flip through the AM radio, do a little like bibliomancy, a little oracular work. Let's see what it has to say to me today. Pastor talking about the book of Job. Talking about how, this ridiculous bet between God and the devil. God tells the devil, The devil comes to God's like, that's your greatest servant, Job. But that's just because he's got it easy. Let me fuck up his life. He's not going to care about you anymore. He only likes you because you're paying him. And God is like, okay, go ahead. Do whatever you want, but don't kill him. Keep him alive. Do whatever you want. And what this pastor said, Satan is like a junkyard dog on a very long chain. He was really cool, but like basically he talked about how, Job's gets fucked up, boils. I think his kids are killed, and his wife says, just curse God and die. She's freaked out, like, you fucking asshole. And he said, if God kills me, I will still love God. Whoa. And that's love. That's love. It doesn't look like the bullshit Hallmark Channel thing. It is savage. It is wild. It is not tame. It is not domesticated. And it is the opposite of weak. It just seems crazy. If you're worldly, it seems absolutely nuts. And this is a muscle you got to build. Because I'm telling you, Raghu, I can't do it. I can't. I want to. Like, on paper, I want to. When people are coming at me online, I want to be able to honestly feel legitimate love for them. I don't. At all. And so I'm thwarted constantly by reality in this regard. So how did Neem Karoli Baba get there? How? Because I know he didn't want to be the only Neem Karoli Baba. I know he wanted other Neem Karoli Babas. So how? How do we do it? How do we do it? How do we do it? And not just for my petty grievances against anonymous strangers online. I'm talking about people with legitimate, justifiable grievances against systems of violence that have permanently damaged, if not destroyed, their lives. How to love them. And I don't mean other people did it. I mean, what's the method to get there?
You're saying, how do they love the oppressor?
How do we do it, Raghu?
How do
you and me do it? What's the path towards this reality? If you're saying this is the you didn't say this, I'm misphrasing, but I am going to say it. I think this is the only option we have if we don't want to live in an apocalyptic hellscape, if we don't want our children to live in an
What's the option?
The only option we have is figuring out a way for some kind of revolution fueled not by hate, but by love. It's the exact same thing the hippies were saying, but now the rubber has hit the road. And I feel like you're a link to that. And I think, and I don't think it was all failure. I think a lot of beautiful, incredible things have come from it. People come to me on the road all the time telling me, thank you for introducing me to Ram Dass. It changed my life. The stuff that the Love, Serve, Remember Foundation has tirelessly been radiating out into the world is changing people's subjective experience of reality. But what I'm asking you is, what is the method here that in the face of this darkness, we can feel more than a fake kind of charlatan style? I love you. Or like in the South, how they go, God bless your, what do they say, Josh? Bless your heart. They don't mean bless your heart. They mean, I hope you fucking die. I hope an eagle rips your eyeballs out. So
that's too general, perhaps.
How do we do it for real?
How do we do it for real?
Yeah, man. We need it now. Now we need it. Now it's not just about getting along with the person who farts next to you in the cubicle. Now it's about like this is real now. And so what's the what?
Well, you're going we. You're talking.
How do I do
it? We. No, it's how do I do it is the starting point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And everything you said about, you see what's going on and you feel a kind of devastation of something inside.
Yeah.
Right. And it just brings this reactivity immediately.
Yep.
Then you start looking at that reactivity, and for me, I see, because we were talking about anger before.
Yeah.
And you get angry and you get righteous.
Yep.
And you feel that power.
Yeah.
That power is a feeling of control.
Right.
Okay. So.
Oh yeah.
How do you deal with this? I mean, I look at this and look at it in exactly the same way as I might be triggered into an angry state. I look at it exactly the same. And how do I approach this inside myself? Now, I have the privilege. You're kind of talking about it when you say neither of us have had to go through what people are going through now, children being ripped away.
Yeah.
All of it. And there's so many instances. And that privilege is a two-way street. Yeah, we should look at that privilege and be very, very grateful. Just grateful to the universe. Whatever you want to call the thing that is in this universe that reflects ourselves, the truth of who we are.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it. And so the privilege of even asking the question,
right,
how do I deal with this want to react?
Yeah.
This feeling of the power of the anger that comes up. How do I, just that question is a privilege that we have.
Yeah.
We need to take that privilege and share it as much as possible by virtue of just being inside ourselves in a way that is not polarized. The thing inside ourselves that's polarized is the thing that manifests outside.
Right.
And so how do we get at that?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, honestly, because of the work that I do, representing Ram Dass and teachings and so on, you know what the best way? I see it more and more as things get really heavier. Being together where we can, first of all, drop that at the door, because you walk in and into a pavilion or whatever it may be, and you're okay. I don't have to walk around wanting to kill people now, and all of that. And then you start to build a little bit of a resilient muscle, so that you can absorb the reality of what is this life? The 100,000 horrible visions and the 100,000 beautiful visions. Ram Dass's thing, we can be on more than one plane of, it's one of my favorite things from him, by the way. We can be on more than one plane of consciousness at the same time. We can grieve for someone who's left us, and we can love them in the deepest place that we did love them while they were in a body, and know that that is not going anywhere. So we start to have a little bit more of multiplicity in our day-to-day life. And that, yes, you do need to have some mindfulness consciousness. You need to be able, we did a wonderful book, didn't we now? I'm bringing that up as another commercial.
Yeah.
The movie of me to the movie of we. Yeah. Duncan and I talked about all of our wonderful habitual patterns and neurotic tendencies that we built into us. That's what everybody's dealing with. Everybody, not just left or right, in the middle, everybody's dealing with that. Dealing with the story we tell ourselves, and that makes us righteous in this particular situation.
Yeah.
So I
do want to talk a little bit about that thing. I want to go a little deeper into what you were saying about this sort of schizoid nature.
Yeah, inside us.
That that is. This episode of the DTFH is supported by my dear friends at Minnesota Nice Ethno-Botanicals. Holy Lord in heaven, I am so lucky that they chose to sponsor my podcast because I was introduced not just to the miraculous Amanita muscaria, but I was sent Minnesota Nice Amanita muscaria. This isn't the garbage that you're going to find. It's some side of the road Chevron. This is transcendent, incredible, and wildly wonderful. I wouldn't advertise it if I hadn't tried it. And I was more than pleasantly surprised. You see, what's going on is somehow this incredible fungus works on the same neuroreceptors that drugs like Xanax, that the benzos do. And wow, that is just incredible by itself. I love those neuroreceptors. I wish that that's all my brain was made of. Minnesota Nice Ethno-Botanicals is your trusted source for high-quality, ethically sourced plant medicines, especially Amanita muscaria, helping folks find calm, healing, and reconnection without relying on pharmaceuticals. Founded by the great Christian Rasmussen, who harnessed Amanita to conquer his own benzodiazepine withdrawal. A brutal battle that feels like recovering from brain damage. With endless anxiety, insomnia, and nervous system chaos, they're on a mission to share this wisdom. Minnesota Nice Ethno-Botanicals invites you to dive into this world of natural magic. Head to www.mnicethno.com/Duncan and use code Duncan23 for 22% off your first order. I highly recommend starting with the Amanita muscaria capsules, and don't forget to add 3 to 4 Blue Lotus gummies for that extra dreamy boost. Most people start there and keep coming back for more. That's www.mnicethno.com/Duncan, code Duncan22. Check out the informational content on the site for safe use tips and let the law of revelation guide you. Much love. You know, sort of it's like the crust around where all the love is. And you can't, it feels like it's almost impossible to get to the love without confronting that, whatever that is, that goop, that thickness, it's dense, it's unyielding, it feels impenetrable and just calcified and just like, it doesn't give a fuck about whatever your particular like trip is related to it. It's like looking at a stone wall and saying, I love you. You're meant to be here. It's like, whatever. I'm not going any. You're not going to love me away. And I feel like that place is that's the first place people run away from because it's pain, man. It's pain. And then if you do manage to like meditate, and meditation does help in this regard, or psychedelics or whatever, you have some help with some MDMA or something, and you manage to like walk through walls, which I feel like is what they were talking about when they're talking about that city. They weren't talking about walls. They were talking about the only wall that matters, which is the one between you and your heart, and you feel it.
Another bad word, heart.
They've ruined every.
Bad,
listen, I'm reclaiming all the words. I'm taking them all back. I'm taking back God. I'm taking back inclusivity. I'm taking back diversity. I'm taking back equity. They're not going to take these words from us, man. They're not going to co-opt these fucking words. They're great goddamn words, and people cringe when you say them now. Or they say, oh, you must be some kind of fucking liberal snowflake piece of shit. It's like, no, these words are way older than America. And they don't, the things people think they mean now is not what they mean. It's
love is way older than America.
Don't you ever say that again on this podcast.
Oh.
I'm in Texas now. They'll throw me out. No, you're right. But I guess what I'm saying is when you get to that place, it truly fucks up your shit. Because, man, we are committed to the satsang of sorrow. You understand, right? We are committed to our miserable compadres. We have taken, by now you've taken a side. You've had dinner conversations, aligning yourself with that side. You are on board and your friends are on board. And one thing that people will consider is like, man, if I drop the righteousness, I'm not going to have any more friends. People are going to think I'm, people are, and I'm saying across, I don't care what the fuck you are, communist, anarcho syndicalist, libertarian, Marxist, conservative, Christian nationalist, basic bitch liberal. We all have our political satsangs. And man, like, if you start like
apolitical is a
what's that?
Big satsang.
Big
apolitical.
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't do nothing. We don't.
Oh yeah, I'm not even all that stuff. Not for me. And
Yeah.
I've tried that one too. It doesn't. It's good luck with that. But the point is, when I feel that love feeling that I feel like Ram Dass was pointing towards and that Neem Karoli Baba was embodying, it really fucks up the game and all the time you've invested in being on one side or the other. It feels like a lot of tools get taken out of my toolbox. How am I going to shitpost now? How am I going to troll? How am I going to like passive aggressively manipulate people or annoying me online? These are fun things to do. But that love feeling, it doesn't invite you to do that shit. You know what I mean? I'm talking about the complete dissolution.
Totally. But you're speaking in big dramatic paint swaths, but
Yes.
even in the most subtle ways, we do this day to day because it's hard. Like we said in the book, it's hard to transform habitual patterns and neurotic tendencies. Here's ours. Here's some of the things we did, but it's difficult. We don't want to do hard things.
No.
We don't, I'm off to India in a bit, actually. And just, India is very hard. Okay. The life there is difficult. It's almost 5 billion people now. And it's just like, woof. And I thought of some situation, I was telling somebody, of some situation of maybe even getting to a train in a train station and the mass chaos that's there and the things that can happen to really make you so uncomfortable. And I said, but one thing, Indian people, they know how to be uncomfortable way better than us.
Yeah.
That's one of the main problems that we have. And I'm part of it. I mean,
You called
I
it.
am part of it.
That's it.
And and that is part of what's going on here, aside from, madness on an extraordinary level of people who are more attached to power and money and all of that, with the normal stuff. That's all normal stuff. But with us, we just don't want to have any kind of discomfort.
You called it.
Period.
You called it. That's it. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Because anyone who's experienced actual like love, it ain't comfortable. It's not some feather bed. It's not some soft down comforter. It's not
the transactional love that we're talking. Unconditional. We haven't said that word.
Unconditional love.
How do you get unconditional in this situation?
You're going to be uncomfortable. It is not going to anesthetize you. It is not going to numb you. It is not going to like make you feel like what you're doing is the right thing. You're not going to get your righteousness. You're probably going to feel real weird, like writing with your left hand or something. None of it makes sense when you've got claws and teeth and all of like, your DNA is just like bite its fucking head off.
Or wiping your ass with your left hand. That's also very uncomfortable, by the way.
I wipe my ass with other people's left hands. I'm civilized.
No, you told me you went to India and you gave me a wonderful description.
No, my God. My God. You're totally right, though, Raghu. It's like, I think there's two things that you've illuminated here. One, if your experience of love, if you think love is comfortable, you might not have experienced truly deep love. If you think, in other words, the idea is that love equals pleasure, love equals bliss, love is a high.
Getting something back.
getting something
Period.
back. And because we've been raised in a transactional
To be
society,
getting something back. Yeah, exactly.
you have to subvert at the very like core of your being transactionalism. And you have to give up the idea that you're going to get anything back. You're not going to get likes. You're not going to get views. No one gives a fuck. No one will see it. Nobody knows. God's too busy dealing with other shit right now. God isn't even going to know you did some damn thing just purely from love. Nothing back. And that's purifying. But it subverts. It subverts. And I think that's the idea, is like all of us just have to get uncomfortable. We have to get uncomfortable now because we're illiterate when it comes to this particular language.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
We're Neanderthals. We're just like, it's like, bleh, and this thing that you're talking about is it's somehow.
No, it's the hardest thing in the world. It is the hardest thing in the world because.
So maybe we should go to war.
We can't end this on that note. For God's sake, what's wrong with you?
You know what? Maybe a civil war would be preferable to dealing with love. Maybe you're right. Maybe everyone out there is right. What am I saying? Martin Luther King was crazy. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is, though. It is like it is. I think it's good to put out there that we have to dispel the myth that there's anything easy about this, because it's not. It's just not.
It's too easy to pick up never mind a gun. It's too easy to mentally project out this the polarization that's inside you and project that out. That is too easy.
It's so easy.
Yeah, that is too easy. And it's also too easy to ignore it all. You know,
so
we
easy.
are here. We are part of this. And how do we get a little bit more? Yeah, what did you say? MDMA. Yes, MDMA does do something really important, which is it gives you beyond the notion, it gives you the reality that we sure as hell are interconnected. We are not alone.
Yeah.
And this aloneness is part of what's going on, is what is going on here. The people that are perpetuating this, perpetrators as well, feel, I believe, that they are completely siloed as a separate unit. And that unit needs to be protected. And in that protection, we're going to, pull other people into that silo of separation. That's not just right. It's not just left. It's a reality.
Right.
That's why I really do feel that one thing we can contribute through sharing is, hey, look inside oneself.
Yeah.
And see what's going on outside yourself is what's going on inside. And how do we fix that?
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't do any good. It doesn't do any good surrounding the ICE facility in your heart with
the ICE facility.
Screaming at your neurosis, how fucked up it is, and how get the fuck out of my fucking body. It doesn't work. It just.
Hey, how about what about the reality? The reality is that we have these thoughts directed to ourselves that are not much different than what gets directed outside.
It's identical.
It's identical. It's right. So think of that.
As above, so
that's
below.
A starting point.
Yeah, I love it.
Starting point.
You always remind me. We have these podcasts at just the right time, right when I'm really spiraling into some nice fucking self-righteous angry hole. It's great.
Well, but the reality is, you went out and bought this incredibly beautiful shirt that I keep looking at.
My
going,
chickens.
Wow, it's your chicken shirt.
You like my chickens?
Yeah.
My kids like my chickens too.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Raghu, I think you've given us more than I was hoping. And I really like that you grounded it in the reality that this is hard. and that and also some very pragmatic steps, which is just like start. It's just what Ram Dass said, but it's good to be reminded. Work on yourself. You can do it. Don't expect it to be a walk on easy street.
Yeah, it's not work on yourself, and when you get to a certain point, you'll be able to do social action of any sort. That's not the case. I mean, that's a wrong view. Work on yourself while you are doing whatever you can for anybody, for what you believe in a completely peaceful way.
While you're campaigning for Trump.
Yeah.
Right,
well, maybe
Raghu?
not.
Work on yourself.
Maybe not.
No, you can't. Everybody, that's the thing. That's the thing. Everybody, whether or not you're campaigning for Trump, whether or not you're working for Nancy Pelosi, whether or not you're the leader of some fucking Marxist cell of Antifa in Portland, I think Raghu isn't telling you throw your fucking scary ass mask in the trash. Raghu is saying go ahead, but continue, go on, but in the midst of this pattern that you find yourself in, start exploring this thing that you're saying. Yeah. Look into yourself and ask yourself, is there a way to do this with pure love in your heart? Not bullshit love. What happens if you go out there with that energy? What happens?
And this is...
Yeah.
We're talking about Christ here. You know?
We are.
Danny Goldberg, who I talked to you about that podcast that I did, he said, they want to, people from the Christian right, most particularly, want to put up the 10 Commandments in the front of schools and so on and so forth. He said, why not put the Sermon on the Mount?
That is a very good question. That is a very good question. Why are they going to the 10 Commandments? Let's do, blessed are the peacemakers. Yeah. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are the poor in spirit. The Beatitudes.
Yeah, wouldn't that be fantastic?
What a great criticism of that.
Yeah, no, that's really great on Danny's part. I love that. Can I show Ram Dass's new book?
Yeah, please. My God, I got to read this. This is good. Ooh, it looks good. You got the Ram Dass font.
But why is it backwards?
It isn't for me. It looks right. It's just
yes.
It's all the drugs you did.
There is no other. The way to harmony and wholeness, which is what we've been talking about here on the Duncan Trussell Family Hour.
Friends, for new visitors to my podcast, Raghu I'm so lucky to have him as a friend. And the Love Serve Remember Foundation doesn't just release incredible books, but when I'm out on the road, people go to these retreats. They're just that's people get their lives changed, and I think that what you were saying about, look, you can stay on the fucking channel, you stay on. You don't worry. Fox News is always going to be there. If you want to flip back and listen to Sean Hannity fucking rip into some lib, you can do that. But there's a lot of other channels that you could just try on for size. And, you don't want to be
not political channels, other channels, other planes, other ways in which we can have curiosity.
You could always go back.
About what our lives are.
You could even do the thing where you have two screens going at the same time.
Yeah.
You could do that.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that I hope people look into the foundation, because you guys do, and Raghu doesn't ask me to do this, but you guys do you're doing the work that the world needs right now, friend. You and some other organizations, and boy, I would not want to be in your shoes right now. I would not want to be running a spiritual organization right now. My God, the fires you must be putting out every day.
Well, there's a few here and there. Yeah. I mean, yeah. But honestly, I just have gratitude that I'm able to do something. Just even the podcast. I mean, you've been doing these for years and years. And you know what? Sometimes, like, okay, I have to do a podcast. I don't know the person. I do a little bit of background, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then I get on with them. And then I look at them. I look in their eyes and I'm like, wow, this is so cool to meet another soul, as
Yeah.
Ram Dass would put it,
It's the
and
best.
find out who they are. That's what we need, a little bit more curiosity
Yeah.
about who we are and who the supposed they are,
Yeah.
to bring it into a much more healthy
Human,
human
non-digitized,
atmosphere.
you know, even though this is technically digitized, this bad
Yeah.
example, but you know
That's
what I
it.
mean.
That's it.
You're the best, Raghu. I do love you. I don't love a lot of people out there. You're one of them. And I'm really grateful to you for your generous time that you've given me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Duncan. Thank you, everybody.
That was Raghu Markus, everybody. Listen to his Mind Rolling podcast. All the links you need to order the new Ram Dass book are going to be down below. I love you guys. I'll see you later this week. Hare Krishna.